Okay, so I figured we'd do a little video on how I go about processing my Astro images. So we've got a stacked image from about a month ago now, late February, when we had our little mini summer in February here in the UK. Currently, although you can't see over there out the window, it is cloudy. Arrgh! I need to move to the desert. So we've got this image here, which is my main image of 300-second exposures. And how many did we get? 17, 18. So 18 5-minute exposures. That's a lot. Why is my maths not working? You get the idea. There's probably what, 2 hours-ish, 2.5, maybe 3 hours of exposures. And then I also did a load at 10 seconds, and we have 40 of those, so 400 seconds here. Now, realistically, I probably should have done a bit more. I could also open up this one here. Let's have a look. Let's bash that one in. And that's another one at 10 seconds, and we only got 20. So this is ISO 640, this is ISO 800, and this is ISO 400, but at 300-second exposures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this live for you all. Well, I say live, semi-live, isn't it? It's pre-recorded live. So we have this one and this one that I took, which are purely for the core, so I can get these 4 stars here, which you can see here, because in the main image we've just got bright whiteness, which is horrendous. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to tweak these two. I don't think I'm going to use this one, to be honest. There's just not that much data there. We'll see. We shall see. But the first thing I do is I set a black point and a white point. So well, the first thing I actually do, I've already done it with the first two, but this one, when you stack the images, they come out at 32 bits per channel, which eliminates a lot of the processes you can do in Photoshop. So I just convert it to 16 bits per channel, and I change it to exposure and gamma. Okay, and I don't know why, but everything seems to have closed down on my machine. Let me just bash that back up. There we go. So now I can do full editing. So the first thing I actually do is I go layer, new adjustment layer, threshold. And this is a temporary layer, and I just change this here so we can find the darkest point. So it is somewhere in this area here. So we just want to come in here. Let's move my histogram over here somewhere. Where should we dump it? Up in here. There we go. So I'm used to doing this on my Mac, so everything's a bit weird on here because mainly my Mac is a little bit slower than this powerful PC. So bear with me if I get things wrong, but I can't see any stars in that area there, so that there is my black point. And let's zoom out again, and now we want to delete this threshold layer because we don't need it anymore, and we want to select a star. I'd go with that one there, I think. Yeah, that'll do. Can I move it? Somewhere around there. So now we have our 2 colour points, the black point and the white point, as you can see here. I'm hoping it's still picking up my mouse. Yes, it is. Ah, right. Interesting. So you can't see up in that corner there. So shall I move my video down here and just shrink it down a bit? As you can see, it's the first time I've done this. So bear with me for the teething points. And yeah, I should just ignore my phone, shouldn't I? Because I'm getting Instagram likes here and there. Here, there and everywhere. So what we do now is we set the black point and the white point. So as you can see in our histogram here, it's a bit spread out. So I'm going to just go Image, Adjustments, or Levels. And then we just adjust them, the red, green and blue, we just bring the black point up a bit. And actually let's work with the blue first, because I think that is the lowest one. Yes it is. So we'll just bring, actually yeah, we'll leave that at 10. And then bring the others into alignment with 10. So we're just watching that come down to 10. And we'll see the colour balance change. And you can now see the histogram, they're all lined up. So it may look a bit darker now. If we just come back into history, you can see the difference. Yeah, so we've got a much darker image now. The black is more black essentially. But we haven't clipped any of the data. We've still got a bit of a gap there, but not too much. So I'm now going to just do a little Astro Stretch on this. This is extremely destructive editing that I'm doing. Something like that, I'd have thought. Quite an extreme one to start with. Okay, and let's just pull that down so we're not clipping anything there. There we go, I'm fairly happy with that for now. And now we have to do the levels again. Image, adjustment, levels. I really should be using all the shortcuts here, but hey. And I do it again to bring them all into alignment individually, whilst keeping an eye on our histogram so I'm not clipping anything. Let's go with about 15, something like that. So that's not 15 here, it's 15 here that we're looking at. Yeah. And let's do the same again with the green. Bring that down to 15, keeping an eye on the histogram. Yep, we're good there. So now you see we're quite a blue image. There is a lot of blue in this. I am a bit concerned that that might be a bit too extreme, but we'll go with that for now. I'm fairly happy with that as an image. Just about. We've still got some detail in the centre here, but it's quite a noisy picture. But don't worry too much about that. We're not going to be trying to drag out all the detail in around here. We're only interested in this core data here. And I think we've got it quite nicely there. Let me try and bring it back to the centre. There we go. And we're now going to do the same with this one here. So we do another layer, new adjustment layer, threshold, and drag it in to find the dark point. Color sampler tool is already selected, so that looks pretty dark there. Delete that threshold layer, select a nice bright star somewhere around there. So we've now set our black and white points on this image, and again it's the same process. So we bring up the levels, and the blue again is the one that's furthest to the left, and I don't really want to bring that any further left, so let's bring everything into alignment with the blue layer. Just like this. Okay, and we'll do a nice stretch. Oh, that's a bit too much potentially, but I think we'll get away with that just about. And now we'll bring the black point back again. Whoops. Just in here. I'll bring it to 19 again. you can either click and drag, or you can use your cursors. Whoops, there we go. And the blue. Up to 19. So you can see we've now got a bit more detail in this area here and here. So these can now, I can basically forget about these to some degree, because that isn't the main image that we're going to be working with. These are literally just going to be pulling out the detail in the middle when I stack them on top of each other, which I'm a little bit nervous about because I haven't used the Photoshop auto stacking feature before. I've always sort of done it manually, so we'll see what happens there. Now you can also see around the edges here we have let's have a look. You can see this here all down the edge. There's this nice horrible black line, yeah, which we're going to want to crop out, but we will work on that later. For now, we're going to forget about those two images and work on our main image. Now you can see here we've got non-pinpoint stars around the edges, but in the middle it all looks pretty good. So you've got pinpoint stars all in the middle, but around the edges not so much. And you can see the difference here already. There's no detail there, it's completely blown out. Whereas in these, we've got this cloud detail here. Even though there's a lot of noise, we've still got the detail there. So I'm going to be using these and basically masking them and putting them into this image and just erasing this basically to bring it out. So we're going to do the same again here. So let's get a new adjustment layer, get the threshold up again to select our black and white points once again. So we're looking in the same sort of area, aren't we, I think. Yeah, so we'll go into might help if I clicked on the image so I can actually zoom. Somewhere around there. And now we want to just delete that layer again. And we'll select this star here. So we now have our black and white points selected. Now as you can see in this image, because we've got much longer exposures, our histogram is much further to the right. So let's bring out the levels again and get our black and white points set, or at least our black point for this moment here, somewhere around about. So you can see this little blip here is to do with the artifacts around the edge. That is an effect of the stacking process. But I'm going to bring it into 15 again. Oops, one too many. And then the red. Okay. So as you can see now, we've got a lot more black basically. And we haven't lost any of the detail. In fact, it looks like it's brought out quite a lot of the detail. But we can stretch this now, can't we? So I'm going to just put a little marker in there. And then bring this right up. And you're really starting to see some of the detail come out now in the nebulosity. Okay, so we can go back and have a look at the difference there. And already we've started to blow out a lot of this core here, but I'm not worried because we're just going to sort of ignore this core for now and work on the nebulosity around here and all these gas clouds here. So I'm just trying to remember my process here. It changes every time if I'm honest, but we'll give it a go and see what happens. Right, where am I at? So I've stretched it, I've set my black and white points, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this filter that I love and use on every single image. It costs a little bit of money, I think it's like $40, something like that. Gradient Exterminator by RC Astro. And for this one, we're not going to balance the background colours, medium and medium, and you'll notice that we lose a lot of the vignetting. I can never say that word. So we'll let that do its process. And you can see it's balanced it a hell of a lot more now. So we've not got this fade that goes across where it's lighter here and darker here. It's sort of balanced it. In fact, no, we're going to do that again and balance the background colours and see if that has a better effect. That's much better. Yeah, so we've lost the gradient, but we've still got all the detail in there. And our black point has gone up again. So once again, we bring out the levels, and we want to go to the red first, and we're only going to go down to 21 this time. There we go. And again, you can see the difference. We've just flattened the background to black. And in fact, what I'm going to do now is do this crop. I'm not too concerned about losing stuff from the edges. But I do want it nice and central. There we go. I think that was it. And then we just image, crop. Job's a good one. So now we've lost all the stacking artifacts from the edges, but we've still got all your detail here. So I'm going to try and remember how I'm doing all of this. We're going to go select, color range, and which bit should we do first? I think we're going to do some of this pinky stuff first. And you can see here what we're actually selecting. Something around about there, I think. Okay. Layer, new adjustment layer, curves, and now I just need to bring this down so I can actually see what I'm doing. And that's probably a little bit too much, I reckon. Yeah, that's a bit too extreme for my liking. So let's that's better. A bit more subtle, but I'm going to still reduce the opacity down to about 40%-ish. So we've just got the subtle difference in here now. Just brought out a bit of that colour. In fact, I think I might bring a bit more in. 66, let's try that. Yeah, I think that's a bit better, isn't it? And then Control, Shift, N plus E, I think it is. No. Back. Whoops. There we go, stamp visible. So Control Alt Shift E takes what we've got so far, which is the background image with the curves, and puts it into this new layer. So now essentially even if we turn that layer off, doesn't matter, so that gets us back. And now we can just work with each layer and come back, forward, however we want through the masking, editing. There's the word we was looking for. Oh, my English is terrible. I can't speak today for some reason. So we're just going to work on some of the details around here. If I can just, whoops. Yeah, as you can see, I'm still learning my shortcuts on Zim PC. So we're going to do another colour range selection, and I think we're going to go with this sort of colour in here. Something like that, I reckon. Does that look about right? Possibly. Yeah, we could do with not working on the stars, but we can work that out later. So, new adjustment layer, curves again, and what this does, you can see here, it's got the layer that is only working on the bits that I selected. So I'm just going to bring this down a bit, and then bring it up. Ooh, that's way too much. So you can see here what I've actually selected. It's these black parts that we're working on. So let's have a look. It's quite a subtle one, I think, yeah. Let's have a look. We're actually introducing quite a bit of noise here. Let's zoom out and see. Yeah, we're going to have to bring that opacity right down. It might help if I was working on the correct layer here. There we go. That's a bit better. In fact, oops. Let's bring it down a bit more. That's more like it. So it's all these little subtle differences. So a new layer and stamp it. So I think we're going to need some of this stuff on the edges here now. So we're going to go select, colour range. I think we're going to get into somewhere around about here. Turn that fuzziness down. Something like that, I think. Yeah, layer. New adjustment layer, curves. I do this very simply. Don't use too much. I'm sure there are many other things we could be doing here. That's going to need to come right down. Even further, I think. Yeah, something like that. So you can see we've already brought a lot more detail out. If I come back to where were we at? So, is that about right? No. Where's my history gone? I don't know. Fine. But we've made some changes. We're starting to bring out some detail in this image. What we have got is something that I've never really worried to work about, is this nebula down here, which I believe is the running man part of the nebula. Because there are technically three in here. This nebula, and this one here. So let's have a look and see what we can get out of this here, shall we? Something around, I know this is quite a bluish sort of nebula. Let's see what we can do. Something like that maybe. New adjustment layer again. Curves. We've still got our black point pretty good here. Zoom out. I've just gone the wrong way there, haven't I? Yeah, so let's this, whoops, and then there. I missed a step, so we're going to just have to do that little bit again. Select color range. It's already on the same one that we were on previously. Now we do our new adjustment layer to work on these bits here. And hopefully oh yeah, baby. That's beautiful. I mean, we've got a bit of a haloing effect around this one here, but I think if we just bring the opacity down a bit, we should sort that quite nicely. Yeah, so we can work on this forever basically until we're happy, and I know there's a lot of stuff out on the edges here, so let's stamp that layer. So that's Control Shift Alt N and then E, so that creates the new layer, and then E stamps it, stamps our current adjustments into this new layer. So let's see what we can do in terms of this bit around the edge. I think this is going to be really tricky to get. Yeah, let's try in here maybe. How about here? Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one. Oh, that might work. Let's just increase something like that maybe. Let's see what we've got here, shall we? Oh yeah. In fact, that's not bad. It's quite an extreme curve that I've put on it, but I think we might get away with it. Bring the opacity down again. Basically, if you're doing really extreme curve adjustments, you can just bring the opacity down so it's still having that big effect, but it's just blending it nice and smoothly into your image. Okay, so I think I'm happy with that for now. Where's our black point? Still at 21. Fairly happy with that. The white point's not great, so we could do, let's have a look and see if we can pull out the white point a bit to balance that. So I could, I don't know, let's have a look. I'm sure there's some of you that are telling me I'm doing this all wrong, which is fine. We all have our own ways of doing these things. Let's see how that looked. Barely any noticeable difference, so we'll leave that as it is. So I'm fairly happy with that for now. But the next step is to come into my action sets. So let's just, yeah, we'll leave that for now like that. Get rid of the default. So I've got this action set called Astronomy Tools, which is another fantastic one that I use on every single image. But they take a fair amount of processing power, and some of them take some time. So what have we got? I can never remember which way I do things. So what have we got that needs to happen in here? Not a lot, really. I don't like this here and this around the edges, but we'll see what we can do. Let's make the stars. No. Let's go space noise reduction first and let that run. Okay, so that's run. Let's have a look. Let's bring my history into here so I can use it a bit better. So we were here, weren't we? It's a very subtle difference, I think, isn't it? Yeah. So you can see we've got this sort of, looks like someone's drawn it with a pencil, with these diagonal lines, and then you come in here, and it's gone. Well, not gone completely, but it's a hell of a lot better. So I might run that again, actually, and then see what our output is. So we've gone from all of that noise down to a lot less noise, and you can see in this, in the nebula, whoops, you can see we've gone from this, with all this horrible noise, to this. Yeah, it looks slightly more blurred, but I think it's a much better image. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So, where have we got now? Enhanced DSO and reduce stars. So that's enhanced deep space objects, for those of you wondering what DSO stands for. I believe this is one that takes some time, but this machine's pretty powerful, so we'll see. I might be pausing it, but we'll see. And there we go. So we'll have I'll have skipped a lot of that, or sped it up, or done something, so you won't have just sat there watching me check my emails and stuff. So let's have a look at the difference that we did there. Merge down is always the last one, so we've gone from that to that, which, yeah, it's subtle, very subtle. And it looks like we've brought out a bit more blue, although that could be just my screen. I'm not a fan of this screen, it has to be said. If anyone out there has got some tips on a good screen, preferably, I don't know how big, 19, 21 inch sort of screen, something like that. High quality, anyone got any tips on that, I would be much grateful. I'd be very appreciative of some tips on a high quality screen for this sort of work, because the screen on my laptop's great, but it's delaminating, and I'm going off on a tangent here. You're here to watch me edit an image. So for now, I'm fairly happy with that. I'd like to bring out more of this stuff around the edges here. So let's see what we can do on that, shall we? But let's actually make stars smaller first. This is quite a quick one. So when I found out about this action set, this astronomy tools, it changed the game for me, because as you can see, it's doing these processes all for me, which would take hours to do on my own, basically. And my Photoshop skills aren't that great, so I probably fail miserably at doing this sort of thing. So it's very useful having all of these action sets that someone spent a lot of time creating. So I can just click it and press go, and then we get smaller stars, for instance. This is slightly smaller, but I might run that again. Oh, that Running Man Nebula looks amazing now. Very happy with that. But I think we can bring out more. So just going to close that and close that. And we don't really need that either. We'll leave that now though for now. And just bring this up a bit. I could do with I can't remember what it's called. So we shall leave it. Right, less crunchy, more fuzzy, has a very subtle effect, which I always run. I say always, most of the time I'll run it. And we shall see what happens here. And don't forget, we've still got the centre to work with, which is going to be fun. So that just made some subtle differences. If we just zoom in, you can see not a lot, but some ever so slight changes. If we come back to here, so the stars are slightly bigger there. Now they've just faded into the background ever so slightly. I could do a star removal, but that's a lot of work and not for this one, I don't think. I would like to do it at some point in the future, but I think what we're going to do is select another colour range, see what we can bring out of, I think around about here. No! God, this is going to be a really hard one to select, I think. Basically, the less bits of white, the better. And that's going to select the whole thing. I'm just trying to get something like that, actually, isn't it? I think that could work if we're very, very lucky. No. No, it's not quite what I want. It's going to be very hard to get this, I think. As you can see in this image, I'm looking for these bits here. But obviously when I get those, I'm getting all of the background sky, because it's a very subtle, not quite black colour that I'm trying to work with here. Ah, we could have something here. There we go, that's the beauty. We're going to introduce some rubbish around the edges, but I can work with that later. What pixels will be? Bugger. That didn't quite work, did it? Try that. No pixels are selected. Don't give me this. There we go. Yeah, so we got some rubbish around the edges, and I can reduce the halos around the stars at some point as well. But let's do a new adjustment level, because Windows Defender, go away, you're rubbish. Sorry. So I'll just give this a little pop here and see how that worked. Yeah, much better. So you can see we've got a lot more around these edges here. It's a bit fuzzy. It introduces a line that isn't really there. So you know what we do? Reduce the opacity. 49, 45%, I think. Just to add in that subtleness. So we start to just build it out bit by bit by bit. And I'm pretty happy with that now. So Control Shift Alt N E, and that's that one nicely done. So I think for now, I want to bring that background back down again, don't I? So what I'm going to do is lasso this lot in here. And then this around here. Feathers fairly big, yeah, that'll work. Select the inverse. So we've now selected everything except the nebula bits. And I'm going to run the RC Asteroid Gradient Exterminator again. And fine detail this time and see what we've got. Hopefully it'll be beautiful. If not, you can always go back. I don't think that did much at all, did it? Yeah. Okay, that's fine with me. But what we shall do now is another levels adjustment. And let's bring that black point back down again. Somewhere around 15. And we can really start to see the colours popping now. And obviously it's up to you where you want to take your images. Because you could want it more blue, more green, more red. But for me, I like to keep it fairly neutral and fairly well balanced. So I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that now. So what I'm going to do is save it as a Photoshop file. Let's shove it into this folder here. Photoshop. You can see I've done a few others. M42, Orion Nebula, V2. Yes, I know. Cool. So let's save that. Could take a while. It's a big image probably. We find out how big. Right, so that's saved, and the file size currently is 441 megabytes. Ouch! Hey, but it's going to get bigger. So, what we want to do now is I would like to merge these two to reduce the noise. So, Control Alt, Control C, open up this one, give myself a new layer. Control V, and then select the layers, edit, auto align layers, auto, yeah, that should be fine, perspective colour, yeah, okay, marvellous, so that is now those two aligned, ooh. Fine. Yeah. Okay, so we come into here, layer, smart object, stack mode, and we want to do a medium one. And with a bit of luck, it does it like that, and we're rocking and rolling. So we should now have a lot more detail with less noise, essentially. I don't like it. They're not aligned, are they? They really are not aligned. Balderdash. Okay, so we're going to come back to here. Yeah, and we're going to manually do it. So bring this down to 50%-ish. have a look around different parts of the image. I think we're there or thereabouts now, aren't we? Yeah, that's more like it. I don't know why I was looking at the stars on the edge, because we are literally only concerned about this in the middle. So now we can convert to smart object. Wait for it to do that. So I always have my history open, so if I make a mistake like I just did, I can just go back and do it again. Not make the mistake again, hopefully, but do the similar process. So let's, fingers crossed, and hopefully we come with something good here. That's much better. So we've got nudge, so somewhere around about here to there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now, do I want to bring out any more detail? What I am going to do is make stars smaller. Oh, okay. Let's cancel that then. Made a mistake. I'm happy to admit when I make mistakes. So let's go N plus E. So now we've just got a normal layer. And now let's try doing the make stars smaller. Let's check our image type actually. We are at 16 channels. Yeah, 16 channels, 16 bit. I could have just looked there, couldn't I? So we're going to zoom in and hopefully we'll see the difference. Oh yes, baby, yeah. I think they're smaller, aren't they? Not much, but a bit. Come on. That is where we're working. So let's have a look. Yeah, let's make them a bit smaller. I'd like to keep the detail between the 4 stars in this trapezium here. And then we can bring out some of this nebulosity around it as well. We're already looking a bit better. Ah, yes, let's do that again. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that, I think, now. Yeah, I'm fairly happy with that. So, shall we stretch some of these colours in here a bit, maybe? Select colour range, somewhere around about there, maybe. Something like that. I'm really hoping that this... no, well, it could work. If we're very lucky, this might well work. So, new adjustment layer. curves. And what have we got going down here? Yeah, that's brought a lot more of the colour out, hasn't it? And we've still got the stars in the middle. I'm fairly happy with that, I think. But let's bring the opacity down as well. Something like that. Yeah, a bit more subtle. Okay. So, now comes the really fun bit. Because we want to get this image into the centre of this. So let's have a look, shall we? So we want to select all, just check we've got a marquee around it, select all, copy, then new layer, paste. Now that's interesting. Okay, so let's undo that because I obviously did something wrong. Ah yes, I only did that, didn't I? So, Control Shift Alt N E. Now select all, Control C. Now we're on that layer, Control V. Whoops. New layer. Control A, Control C. Into this layer, Control V. There we go. So it is way out of alignment, isn't it? As you can see, if we just let's try and zoom in. Where are we at? So it's those two there we're looking for, isn't it? And actually, that's not bad. I'm really not worried about the rest of it. And in fact, that needs to be a layer mask, doesn't it? I can't remember how to do the next bit. Create clipping mask, is that right? No, that's not right, is it? So if I just do the eraser here, does that work? No, 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 no. I'm struggling to remember here. Okay, so I've just done a little bit of research. Thank you, Asteroid Backyard, Kevin. You're a legend. Like, if I think it's Kevin, or is it Tim? I'm really sorry if I've got your name wrong. I think it's Kevin. But Astro Backyard on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. He has helped me so much without him knowing. He puts up so many videos. I'd be nowhere near where I am if it wasn't for him. So what I learned from that is I have my layers the wrong way around. So we're just going to do that, and now you can see that I've got, hold on, if we just zoom out, you'll see we've just got, oh, that's interesting. Okay, right, let's do this another way. So we want this here. Is that my image? No, it isn't, is it? What's going on here? Let's just get rid of this completely, shall we? Ah, that's why it's got its opacity down to 49%. So let's put the opacity up to 100% and then we can see. Right, there we go. Right. So what we want to do is actually move this layer down to here. And now we can do this. Okay, and we want to select this layer and create a layer mask. And we want black and white in here. Turn this back up to 255, 255, 255. And with the paintbrush tool, I want to make it slightly larger than 13 pixels. And zoom in. It's probably 55 is probably a bit too big. Something like that, I think, will be fine. So let's zoom in. And wrong way. We're on the layer mask. And you can see now we're starting to bring out the detail of this core. Whoops. It's probably a bit too much, but we can just take some of this fuzziness down. And in fact, I'm going to start that again. And try again, shall we? So just want to get rid of all this sort of whiteness in here. But you've got to be careful. But you can see we're bringing some of this detail out now. Probably want to come down here a bit as well. Something like that. Now, I can't remember how to do a lot of these things. Okay, so I'm actually, I keep learning. We all keep learning. So let's come back here. And we want quite a soft one here, so we're going to go with that. Hardness 0, but the size pretty big, something like that. And then the opacity we want to turn right down, so it takes a lot to bring it through. It's Trevor, that's his name, it's Trevor from Asteroid Backyard. So we just want to come in here, there we go. So now you can see we're just bringing out some of this detail in here. I'm fairly happy with that, I think. If we just, can you turn that on? Oh, I can't remember how to do it if I'm honest. So let's just come back from there to there. Oh wow, I'm very happy with that. Coming back to here, so you can see we've all blown out very, very white there. There's no data really, it's just gone white, and then we've brought all of this data back into it. I'm very happy with that. So we've now got what's called an HDR image, a high dynamic range image. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, I could, I guess, rotate it. Let's go clockwise 90. That's pretty nice. Looks even better in that orientation, I think. Yeah. So we've got the Running Man Nebula here. I think that is the guy there. So there's his head. You've got a leg there, an arm. I think that's how you see the man in the nebula, I think. I just don't know. And then we've got the main Orion Nebula and this other one that's called, or is this the Orion Nebula and that's the other? I can't remember if I'm honest. But basically you've got this nebula, this one, and this one here. What I'm actually going to do now is reduce some of these halos around the stars using this mask tool. Hopefully It works. And I'm also then going to use the oh, hold on. Oh no, they are 2 stars, that's alright. And you can spend literally hours working on individual stars to work out what you want, what you don't want here, there and everywhere. Let's have a look up around here, onto this nebula. What do we got? I'm fairly happy, but what I'm not happy with is these star diffraction spikes. So what I'm going to use is the spot healing brush. Just the healing brush tool actually. And just click, yeah, okay. Somewhere around about here-ish, I reckon. Now let's change it to the spot healing brush actually. Just to get rid of some of them. It's not working that well, unfortunately, is it? I'm just trying to remember which tools there are. It's definitely the spot healing brush. But it used to work a lot better than this. But I think I'm vaguely happy with it. It's a bit better than it was. Maybe. Well, it's not any different really, is it? Nah. Okay. Oh, that's why. I was selected on the adjustment layer. So now we've got this, I just completely forgot to do the stamp new layer basically. So now we can do the spot healing brush and zoom in and hopefully, yes, there we go. Just to bring these down a little bit. That's a bit better. Let's get rid of that one a bit. I'm sure these mouse clicks are extremely annoying. Yeah, this is going to be risky doing it in here. Let's reduce the size a bit so we got a bit more control. Something like that. Let's go with 12-ish, 13 pixels, yeah, something like that. There we go. And the same on this one. Something like that maybe. Yeah, we got a bit more in here possibly. Oh, I need a better screen. But you can spend, as I keep saying, absolutely hours doing this sort of stuff. And I think this one down here could do with a bit as well. This is the problem with a reflector telescope as opposed to a refractor, because you have the spines that mount the secondary mirror, and they are basically in a cross like that at the end of your telescope, and that's what causes these star diffraction spikes on certain brighter objects. But we get away with it with a bit of Photoshop work. We can do a bit more on this one. It's a bit better, isn't it? Still could do with a bit more coming out of here. There we go. We're now a hell of a lot better than we were previously. And for some reason I haven't got unlimited history on here. I need to change my settings on here so I can go fully back. But I would say that we're pretty good. If I just open up the original image, open with Photoshop, you can see where we've come from this. Should we just rotate it quickly just so we can see the complete change from here? So we're at 18.8, 19.9, pretty similar zoom. Yeah, we've gone from that, which was the pure image straight out of Deep Sky Stacker. So I had my 300 second exposures, all, how many of them did I say? 18 of them. So there were 18 images at 300 seconds long, all stacked together to create this with calibration files, which I may go into in detail in another video. I probably will, let's be honest. And then we end up with that. I'm very, very happy with that. Let's have a look at the center again and just check it. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Yeah. So I would say we are there with that image. Thank you very much for watching. Give me a like and a subscribe. Yeah, YouTube, Instagram. YouTube, I believe, is Simon.builds. That could well change. And then Instagram, we're going with Simon.astrophotography. Hope you've enjoyed this. Yeah, the full video that you are watching now, this is YouTube. There'll be the shorter one compressed on IGTV. Oh yeah. And yeah, we'll go from there. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a like, subscribe, let me know what you want to see from me next. We've got cloudy skies for ages. I don't know when I'm next going to have clear skies. Shall we see what the app says? Scope nights. What have we got? Oh, maybe Sunday. I might get some imaging Sunday. But it's looking like Wednesday could be good with only a 52% moon as well. So yeah, Sunday or Wednesday I should have time to get some more stars with a bit of luck. So yeah, thank you very much for watching.